doing this last because they didn't want to come after me. You really have nothing to worry about. I know you think I'm lying, but I really do have something in my eye. You probably noticed the tails. A lot of people commented on the tails when they came in. And when I got fitted for mine, he said, "So what's the occasion?" "Funeral." "Oh, sure, why not?" They're actually an homage to a master of ceremonies that unfortunately couldn't be here today on account of him not having a pulse. My very first memories of Dad are in fact my very first memories. And they are running through long grass, chasing a giant, playing with him in parks in the backyard, and being lifted off the ground by this giant at a rate that would make a NASA astronaut vomit. I remember staying warm with him during the winter months, during a period of time, obviously before Aaron and Heather were around, and Mum was very sick in hospital. Dad and I were alone in the house together, which was being renovated. And this 6-week renovation ended up taking 18 months or something, leaving us with no back of the house in the coldest months of the year. And I remember sitting in front of the potbelly stove for hours, just trying to keep warm with him. "Don't touch the fireplace, Stuart. Don't touch the fireplace, Stuart. Don't touch the..." Okay, this is going to be a long night. Dad was a very proud and a very involved father, but it didn't mean he was incapable of laying the smack down when we got out of line. You know that line, "Kids, settle down back there, or so help me, I will pull this car right over"? He did. And it made some of our long journeys very, very, very long. Dad was extremely protective. And I remember that he had a very deep and very real fear that someone might hurt his lawn. And I remember him banging on the kitchen window, "Kids, get off the lawn!" And as the years went on, I always imagined that all he would need would be a shotgun and a rocking chair. "Kids, get the hell off my lawn!" That was a Sling Break reference for you drama. Dad was to gardening what Dr. Frankenstein was to medical science. I think to this day he was trying to solve the problem of global warming and planetary deforestation on his own. I was originally going to describe his work in the kitchen as Frankensteinian. I remember him hunched over a stove, cackling maniacally, screaming, "Live!" But really he was more like the Swedish chef. Things falling off plates, saucepans flying everywhere, starting small fires. At Mum's 60th birthday, Dad single-handedly catered for 350 people. There are only 50 people invited. Doesn't matter! To this day, we were pulling leftovers out of the freezer going, "What is this? I don't know." The family have already noticed a big gap that Dad's left, because the family and everyone who passed through the doors at the House of Moncrief, we were always usually treated to an a la carte feast, and now feasting on cheese toasties and Vegemite sandwiches. People often commented on how loud Dad was. That's certainly true, and many put that down to him having a hearing problem. But now that he's gone, I think I can reveal the truth to you all. He had ears like a fruit bat. Aaron could drop the F-bomb 4 rooms away. I heard that! You're supposed to be deaf! Sometimes I often wonder if Dad was so loud just so he could get a word in edgeways in the cacophony of noise that was our family home. Don't throw balls in the house. That's a rule in most houses, especially a rule when you've got 18th century cut crystal ornaments and cork sculptures pulled from some other country and a house full of dust collectors. So when we as boisterous young whippersnappers would throw a ball in the house or throw one another over a couch and something would get broken, we would fall very, very quiet because we knew he could hear us. But we froze because we thought, unlike his hearing, maybe his vision's like T-Rex and it's based on movement. When my parents realised that I was never going to be a star soccer player, they decided to put me on the stage. We've always been a theatrical family. You've probably noticed. Over the years, Dad and I were lucky, as we all were, to appear on stage with him, but I never really had much of an opportunity to work with him closely until a few years ago when he asked me at the last minute to get involved with a production called Rome Sweet Rome. And I think I had 4 days to learn a 2-act play. And I learned the script. The fact that I chose to ignore it was incidental. And Dad and I would end up on stage together, and during those scenes, Dad and I went hell for leather trying to outdo each other at every possible turn. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and at one point I was off on one side of the stage just going into business for myself, and Dad would calmly just lean into the front row and... Can anyone else smell ham? Dad had made so many lifelong friends through the theatre. His wife, people, all of you who are here today, even his drama students, and I'm sure that Dad will be a subject of conversation in many production rehearsal, green room and buckin after party to come. He was lucky enough to share his passion with so many of his students, and sometimes when the stress of working inside a system would get to him, it was all of his students that kept getting him out of bed in the morning. He absolutely adored you, and he spoke of you constantly. He was so proud. Every school musical, every Jubilee performance, any time he had the opportunity to work with and direct you, he was elated, and he was so full of energy and so full of life. I really hope all of his students realize just how important you were to him. He loved to travel. He loved all things Egyptian. That's the reason for the coffin, by the way. That's not like a 2-for-1 deal or something. That's something we planned. And he loved to, we had to sort of stop him from traveling because every overseas trip he would make, he would bring back something else to fill the house up with, whether it be jewellery for Mum or knickknacks or dust collectors, gifts, cologne for Aaron and I, and perfume for Heather. As a matter of fact, we went through a very long, hard time to figure out how to dress him in there, because he had an eclectic style of fashion. As Aaron once so eloquently put it, there were times that Dad would go to a formal event dressed like Liberace's stunt double. I'm really upset that you told the pond story. I was really looking forward to that one. I've got to the end. I didn't know how to finish this. Just made some notes because I knew I was going to get stuck halfway through. But if he could have seen all of you who are here today, he would have been so happy. Could he have been here today, he would have been the life of the party. He loved every single one of you. He loved his family, he loved his wife. He loved our partners that we brought into the house. Whenever we'd bring them over, he would cook something. Didn't matter if he'd only planned for 5. Oh, by the way, Joe's coming in tonight, he would always cook something up. He loved you all, and he would just be so enthralled to see you all here. Thank you for making the effort. Thank you for remembering him.